Hello everyone, and welcome once again to my channel. Today we'll be looking at how to express a fraction and decimal as a percentage. That is changing fractions and decimals to percentages. Now let's go to the first aspect, which is changing fractions to percentages. Now in order for you to express a fraction as a percentage, you have to express it as an equivalent fraction. You express it as an equivalent fraction with a denominator of 100. And then when you've done that, you now express the numerator with the symbol of a percentage. You now express the denominator with the symbol of a percentage or percent. Now, we have an example on the board. We have change 12 over 25 to percentage. Now, I'm going to show you how to change the fraction into a percentage using two methods. Now, the first method involves the first statement I made, which is we're going to convert 12 over 25 into its equivalent fraction. And that equivalent fraction has to have a denominator of 100. That's to have a denominator of 100. In order to do that, I'm going to multiply both the numerator and the denominator by the same number. And that number in this case will be 4. And in case you don't understand how I did this, I have a video on how to express fractions as their equivalent fractions. So you go and watch that video, you get a better understanding. So now multiplying the numerator and denominator by 4, I get 48 over 100. And because we know that one of the definitions of a percentage is that percentages they are expressed as fractions in which their denominators are 100, and the numerator now represents the percentage you're being asked to identify or look for or obtain. So in this case now, the numerator will now be 48%. So let's look at it again. Change 12 over 25 to percentage. We express 12 over 25 as its equivalent fraction, which is now 48 over 100. The denominator must be 100. It must be 100. And then the number on top will now give us our percentage, which we now include the symbol of percent here to make it now 48%. Now the second method is simple enough. What you do is you simply take the fraction and then you multiply it by 100. You take the fraction and you multiply it by 100. Now 100 is the same thing as 100 over 1. I put that so that when you're multiplying both the numerator and the denominator, you won't just say 25 times nothing. No, 100 is the same thing as 100 over 1. And in multiplying of fractions, you multiply the numerator and numerators and denominators and denominators. Denominators against denominators, numerator against numerators. So 12 times 100 is 1200. 25 times 1 is 25. So the next thing you do is you reduce the fractions into its lowest term. Reduce the fractions into its lowest term by dividing them by their common factors. And in this case, I'm going to start by dividing them by 5. Divide 1200 by 5, divide 25 times 5. 1000 divided by 5 will give us 1200 divided by 5 will give you 240. 25 divided by 5 is 5. It can still be divided again by 5. And 5 divided by 5. 240 divided by 5 will give me 48. And 5 divided by 5 is 1. Then you also write the percentage symbol. Since you're converting to percentage, you now include the percent symbol, which will now conclude the answer to the question. So you can see that whether you use this first method, which is finding its equivalent fraction, in which the denominator must be 100, and then using the numerator as your percentage, writing the symbol of percent, or you just simply multiply the fraction by its by 100 and then reduce it to its lowest term, you obtain the same answer. Okay, so let's go to the second aspect of today's video, and it is changing decimals to percentages. Changing decimals to percentages. Now, to express decimals as percentages, you have to multiply the decimal by 100. You multiply the decimal by 100 and express it as percent. That is, you include the percent symbol. So let's go to the examples. We have two examples on the board. The first example says change 0.55, which is the decimal, to percentage. Change 0.55 to percentage. Now, the instruction says we should multiply the decimal by 100. And of course, I already have a video that shows us the easiest way of multiplying multiples of 10. When I say multiples of 10, I mean 10, 100, 1,000, 1,000, 10,000. I don't mean 20 or 30 or 300. No, I said the easiest way the video is on the easiest way to multiply numbers and divide numbers by multiples of 10. And I said 10, hundreds, 1,000. So you can go and look at that video to get a better understanding how you can easily multiply numbers by multiples of 10. So here we're going to multiply 0.55 times 100. And when you multiply 0.55 times 100, the answer you're going to get is 55. And then we now express this number as a percent by including the percentage symbol, and that will give us our answer. So we've converted 0.55 to percentage by simply multiplying the decimal times 100. And in this case, we got 55%. Now, for the second example, says change 0.03, which is a decimal, to percentage. We're going to do the same thing. 0.03 multiplied by 100. And when you multiply 0.03 by 100, you're going to get 3. We now express 3 as a percent by including the symbol, and that will give us 3%. So whenever you're given a decimal and you're asked to express it as a percentage, all you have to do is simply multiply that decimal by 100, and then you will get the number, which you will now express as a percent by including the symbol of percentage, and then you've completely changed that decimal to a percentage. But that's all I have for today's video. If you really appreciate the video, just give it a like and thumbs up. Also hit the notification bell to get notified of whenever I post my videos. If you have any comments, please post in the comment section, and I'll see you in my next video.